Good morning and namaste, everyone. I don't seem to be muted, so I guess no one wanted to answer.
Hello. Shankara, namaste, good morning.
Namaste, good morning, namaste,
Good morning, everybody. Namaste.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Robert.
Mhm.
Good morning, Cindy. Good morning, Uma. Good morning, Bhagirath. Good morning, Krishna Kali. Good morning. Sorry, I can't read that. And Roberto. Is that Brahmadas?
Yeah, sorry, I was munching on some breakfast there.
Well, enjoy yourself. We seem to be all set.
Namaste. Namaste.
Hello, Uma. Namaste, dear.
See.
With the fine weather we're having, I took Siva to an outdoor live music event, and he really enjoyed it. We had a great time. He's such a great friend. Great cat.
He is a great friend. There's no two ways about it. Om. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may the divine being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the divine being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this celebration of Sri Ramakrishna's birth anniversary. It was the lunar calendar birthday on the 4th, Friday, but so we could all gather, we're celebrating on Sunday. So I will go ahead and decorate the shrine a little. Um, and then I will offer a discussion of Sri Ramakrishna called The Phenomenon of Sri Ramakrishna. You'll understand why that title as the talk has begun. Then there'll be a reading by the young man who is staying here with us and helping to take care of me, bless him, Aaron Shippey. Then Krishna Kali will sing us a song. Then we will go ahead with the rest of the worship that we are offering the Master this morning, which will include some of the usual things that you're familiar with: flower offering, light incense, and some food. We'll conclude at whatever time we conclude, and there will be time for you to offer your own wisdom and experience, or to ask a question later on. So with that, I'll begin. Jai Sri Ramakrishna, Jai Ma. Jai Sri Ramakrishna, Jai Sri Ramakrishna, Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Once again, for those of you who didn't come for the earlier greeting, good morning and happy birthday. When it's the Master's birthday, it's everyone's birthday. So I am going to read you some reflections on the phenomenon of Sri Ramakrishna. We'll begin with a reading in English of Kandana Bhava Bandhana, a hymn by Swami Vivekananda to Sri Ramakrishna. This interpretation of the hymn is by Swami Prabhavananda and Christopher Isherwood. It is titled Breaker of This World's Chain. Breaker of this world's chain, we adore thee whom all men love, spotless, taking man's form, O purifier, thou art above the gunas three, knowledge divine, not flesh, thou whom the cosmos wears, a diamond at its heart. Let us look deep in thine eyes. They are bright with the wisdom of God that can wake us from Maya's spell. Let us hold fast to thy feet, treading the waves of the world to safety. O drunk with love, God-drunken lover, in thee all paths of all yogas meet. Lord of the worlds, thou art ours, who wert born a child of our time, easy of access to us. O merciful, if we take any hold upon God in our prayer, it is by thy grace alone, since all thine austerities were practiced for our sake. How great was thy sacrifice, freely choosing thy birth in this prison, our iron age, to unchain us and set us free. Perfect, whom lust could not taint, nor passion, nor gold draw near, O Master of all who renounce, fill our hearts full of love for thee. Thou hast finished with fear and with doubt, standing firm in the vision of God, refuge to all who have cast fame, fortune, and friends away. Without question, thou shelterest us, and the world's great sea in its wrath seems shrunk to the puddle that fills a hoofprint in the clay. Speech cannot hold thee nor mind, yet without thee we think not nor speak. Love, who art partial to none, we are equal before thy sight. Taker away of our pain, we salute thee though we are blind. Come to the heart's dark cave and illumine, thou light of the light. This morning we will celebrate the subject of that hymn. We'll celebrate the birthday of Sri Ramakrishna. There is a direct link. There is a direct link between that great master's life and teachings and what you are hearing just now. Christopher Isherwood, a disciple of Swami Prabhavananda, wrote this about the master as he begins his book, Ramakrishna and his disciples. This is the story of a phenomenon. I will begin by calling him simply that, rather than holy man, mystic, saint, or avatar, all emotive words with mixed associations, which may attract some and repel others. A phenomenon is often something extraordinary and mysterious. Ramakrishna was extraordinary and mysterious, most of all to those who were best fitted to understand him. That's the end of the quote from Christopher Isherwood. Two people had a deep understanding of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Sharda Devi, his wife, and Swami Vivekananda, Swamiji, we'll call him hereafter, his most famous disciple. So two people had a deep understanding of Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Sharda Devi and Swamiji. We'll read some of what Sharda Devi and Swamiji said about Ramakrishna. As the knowledge of him is shared, the connection between the Master's life and your presence with us this morning may become more clear. First, for those of you who don't know, who is Sri Sharda Devi, also known to us as Holy Mother? This is from Swami Nikhilananda's biography of her. He was her disciple. When Holy Mother came to Dakshineshwar at the age of 16, Sri Ramakrishna asked her whether she had come to pull him down to a worldly life. Without hesitation, she answered, "No, I am here to help you realize your chosen ideal. I am here to help you realize your chosen ideal." From then on, Holy Mother lived with Sri Ramakrishna as his spiritual companion, devoted wife, disciple, and always the nun. She was the embodiment of purity. Her mind was never sullied by the faintest breath of worldliness, though she lived with Sri Ramakrishna for the greater part of 14 years. She never missed communion with God, whom she described as living in the palm of her hand. She never missed communion with God, whom she described as lying in the palm of her hand, though she was engaged day and night in various activities. That's the end of the quote from Nikhilananda. Here's what Holy Mother said about Sri Ramakrishna. He who has really prayed to the Master, even once, has nothing to fear. By praying to him constantly, one gets ecstatic love, prema bhakti, through his grace. Pray to the Master with tears in your eyes whenever you want illumination or find yourself faced with doubt or difficulty. The Lord will remove all your impurities, assuage your mental anguish, and give you enlightenment. Even avatars, saints, and sages have to undergo the ordeal of suffering, for they take upon themselves the burden of sins of omission and commission of ordinary human beings, and thereby sacrifice themselves for the good of humanity. We have to surrender ourselves completely to the Master with faith and devotion in him, serve others to the best of our capacity, and never be a source of sorrow to anybody. That's what Sri Sharda Devi said. Here's what Swami Vivekananda, Swamiji, said. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna declares, whenever virtue subsides and vice prevails, I come down to help mankind. Modern psychology says that at least half of life is thoroughly irrational or unconscious. This appears as our dream life, and in the waking state, intuition and imagination, daydreams, are yearnings at the edge of awareness. An avatar's role is in part to embrace the irrational, to make the irrational known, seen in a positive light, and leave instructions to make it accessible to us. The second attribute of avatars, an avatar can erase by taking unto themselves karmic debt. In Christian terms, this is called remission of sin. This allows a spiritual seeker to achieve the goal, liberation, with enough effort in this lifetime. As Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, turn to me, I see no sinner. The third attribute, an avatar can pass on to their followers the knowledge of how to teach spiritual practices and how to assume karmic debt. An avatar is the guru of gurus. Yet Sri Ramakrishna said, anyone and everyone cannot be a guru. A huge timber floats on the water and can carry animals as well. But a piece of worthless wood sinks if a man sits on it and drowns him. Therefore, in every age, God incarnates himself as the guru to teach humanity. Satchidananda alone is the guru. The implication, of course, is that Satchidananda, the power of Brahman, Saguna Brahman, arises in the avatar, and he can awaken that in his followers, so that his followers are able to do in some wise the same that he did. And he says, Satchidananda is the guru. And when I say in some wise, no one is going to be able to do as Sri Ramakrishna did. He was the master of the universe, if this is the way we choose to understand it. The master of Maya. All others who serve him are the servants. The servants. Given, as servants are given, what is needed to fulfill their service. Vivekananda, in his talk, Christ the Messenger, tried to give us a deeper understanding of what an avatara is, what an incarnation of God is. The omnipresent God of the universe cannot be seen until he is reflected by these giant lamps of the earth, the prophets, the man gods, the incarnations, the embodiments of God. We all know that God exists, and yet we do not see him. We do not understand him. Take one of these great messengers of light, compare his character with the highest ideal of God that you can ever bring to mind, and you will find that your God falls short of the ideal, and that the character of the prophet exceeds your conceptions. You cannot even form a higher ideal of God than what actually embodied. You cannot even form a higher ideal of God than what actually embodied and has practically realized and set before us as an example. So this is Vivekananda on the general idea of an avatar or incarnation. Now, something about his particular experience of Sri Ramakrishna. This is from Vivekananda's talk, My Master. This man came to live near Kolkata, the capital of India, the most important university town in our country, which was sending out skeptics and materialists by the hundreds every year. Yet many of these university men, skeptics and agnostics, used to come and listen to him. I heard of this man, and I went to hear him. He looked just like an ordinary man, with nothing remarkable about him. He used the most simple language, and I thought, and can this man be a great teacher? I crept near to him and asked him the question which I had been asking others all my life. Do you believe in God? Yes, he replied. Can you prove it, sir? Yes. How? Because I see him just as I see you here, only in a much intenser sense. That impressed me at once. For the first time, I had found a man who dared to say that he saw God, that religion was a reality to be felt, to be sensed in an infinitely more intense way than we can sense the world. I began to go to that man day after day and actually saw that religion could be given. One touch, one glance can change a whole life. I had read about Buddha and Christ and Muhammad, about all those different luminaries of ancient times, how they would stand up and say, "Be thou whole," and the man became whole. I now found it to be true, and when I myself saw this man, all skepticism was brushed aside. It could be done, and my master used to say, religion can be given and taken more tangibly, more really than anything else in the world. It could be done, my master used to say. Religion can be given and taken more really than anything else in the world. Be therefore spiritual first, have something to give, and then stand before the world and give it. Religion consists in realization. As a fact, we all know that nothing will satisfy us until we know the truth for ourselves. However we may argue, however much we may hear, But one thing will satisfy us, and that is our own realization. And such an experience is possible for every one of us if we only try. And such an experience, realization, is possible for every one of us if we only try. Here's why Swamiji's promise about the master can be true according to these two verses from Khandana Bhavana, breaker of this world's chain. O merciful, if we take any hold upon God in our prayer, it is by thy grace alone, since all thine austerities were practiced for our sake. How great was thy sacrifice, freely choosing thy birth in this prison, our iron age, to unchain us and set us free. Jai Sri Ramakrishna, Jai Sri Ramakrishna, Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Happy birthday, beloved Master. O Lord, take my hand. O Lord, take my hand. Without thee I may fall. Without thee I may fall. O Lord, pull me on. O Lord, pull me on. Without thee I may stray. Without thee I may stray. O Lord, take my hand. O Lord, pull me on. Without thee I may fall. Without thee I may stray. O Lord, draw me near. Seat me by thy fire. O Lord, draw me near. Seat me by thy fire. Thou art my all in all. Thou art my all in all. Without thee I may fall. O Lord, take my hand. O Lord, pull me on. O Lord, draw me near. Seat me by thy fire. Thou art my all in all. Thou art my all in all. Without thee I may fall. O Lord, fill this heart. 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 Thou art my all in all. Thou art my all in all. Thou art my all in all. Without thee I may fall. Oh, Amen. For the last 10 days or so, Aaron has been reading to us each morning from a book called Sri Ramakrishna Punti, a portrait of Sri Ramakrishna by one of Bengal's foremost poets of that time, Akshay Kumar Sen. He was a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna and received his grace on January 1st, 1886, known as Kalpataru Day. The book was translated by a dear friend and her colleagues, Amrita Salm. Aaron is going to read to us a portion of this book, and it's from an early chapter that inspired the both of us very much when we first heard it. Aaron, please.
And after that, I'm going to read an excerpt from the hymn written by Swami Vivekananda.
Okay, very good. Now just jump it on there. There you go.
The youngest son of the family, the darling of the parents, Gadai did not show any interest in learning. Actually, most children prefer to play than to study. By gentle persuasion, his parents, however, had managed to send Gadadhar to school where many other boys were already studying. But at school, he was not at all mindful of his studies, but preferred to play with his companions whenever he could. The boys, as the school hours would be over, were greatly delighted to play with Gadai. He was not at all attentive to his studies in the way as his family wanted him to be. At school, the teacher used to look upon Gadai as his own child. He could not bear to treat him harshly and would not strike him at all. Gadai's going to school was of no avail, since not much progress was made. After school, Gadai would select some secret corner, dress himself up, then dress up his companions and enact different dramas. His singing was divinely sweet. Hardly one could differentiate the real drama and the imitation. As was already mentioned, since his childhood, he had a retentive memory and would not forget anything that he had heard just once. He could repeat any drama that he had seen. He could imitate the sounds of cymbals, shinga, and other musical instruments. All the materials were necessary for the dramas used to be supplied by Gadai. He could act every part by himself. He appeared to be many-tongued. The boys became greatly enthusiastic. They were attending the school during the daytime and were acting and singing during the night. The teacher came to know that Gadai was performing dramas with the boys. One day he asked him to enact a drama inside the school premises. So Gadai put up a one-man show, acting, singing, and playing musical instruments, accompanied by dancing, even interspersed with clownish acts. The teacher and the students, everyone together, rolled on the ground with laughter. Their joys knew no bounds. Those who were nearby, hearing the laughter, quitting their household chores, rushed towards the school. Oh, my mind, think for a moment that it was the divine in the form of a child with whom they were playing there. If one muses on this inside one's heart for a moment, one becomes immobile and speechless. This is not an ordinary matter. Contemplate on it with eyes closed. I regret that I do not have adequate expressions to describe it properly. So I only declare, glory to the Master, glory to his mother, Chandramani, glory to his father, Kudaram, glory to his neighbors and all people of Kamarpukur. Glory to the village of Kamarpukur. Glory to the animals and the birds, and victory to the sacred dust of Kamarpukur. So that was the end of that story. Now this is a quick excerpt from Swami Vivekananda.
Swami Vivekananda was a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. He spent 22 years teaching in the United States, and his pre-monastic name was Kali. He was very close to Sri Ramakrishna and also very close to Vivekananda. Vivekananda was the one who encouraged him to stay here in the United States all those years and teach. But he was also a great singer and composer of hymns. So this is an excerpt from one of his hymns to Sri Ramakrishna.
The yoga with 6 steps is none too easy. The seekers of knowledge, too, is rare. Hence in Kali Yuga is devotion grander. Which teachest thou on earth, Ramakrishna? I seek not heaven, source of pleasures eager, nor splendid power, compassionately. Seat thyself forever on my heart's throne. This is my lowly prayer, Ramakrishna on earth. Whom Brahma and Vishnu, Shiva and deities meditate on, Bilad, forever salute. By them implored, thou comest down to the world, 2-handed supreme avatar Ramakrishna here. Reverence to the seed of the world one, integral. Reverence to the world's Lord, by God's waited on. Reverence to him who cures life's maladies. Reverence to the self-same Sri Ramakrishna here. With heartfelt devotion and incessantly, who adores Ramakrishna, light and bliss. His mind pure, and thus it happens that he gains truth in blessed ease.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you very much. Now we'll hear a song from our beloved Krishna Kali. Krishna Kali will sing for us and play on whatever instrument she is going to play on. I'm so glad that she offered to do this. I'm going to go talk with those people who are getting the food ready for a few moments, but I will be listening, Krishna Kali. You may be assured of it.
Krishna Kali ji, namaste. We cannot hear you.
Unmute yourself.
I don't think Krishna Kali is on.
Okay, so that's good. So I was just saying that
Is she there?
I am feeling a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's her right there.
She's there. It is hard to say anything today. I just think. And then if I feel composed, I'll talk. Shri Bhagavate Parama Purusha Ramakrishnaya Namaka 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 Can you hear me? Is the keyboard balanced or is it loud or too soft?
Pretty good.
It's fine. It's all balanced. Shri Ram Krishna Shri Bhagavate Param Purusha Ramakrishna Namaka Namaka. Don't know why this is not playing. Oh, something wrong got speakers. Sorry. Oh, Janani Sharda Devi Ramakrishna Jagat Guru Padma Padme Paramshit Janamami Om Shok Bhutta Mutta Vedantam Purabhaskaram Namami Jugakartaram Arthanara Vireshwaram Hari Om Hari Om Hari Om Hari Hari Om বহুদের ঘরে বেলা শেষে আমি চরণে শরণ নিলাম বহুদেশ ঘুরে বেলা শেষে আমি চরণে শরণ নিলাম Shri Ram Krishna Pranam. Everybody, Shri Ram Krishna Pranam. Shri Ram Krishna Pranam. Shri Ram Krishna Pranam. যত মত আছে তত পদ বেঁধে যত মত আছে তত পথ ভেদে দেখিয়ে দিয়েছ সর্বধর্ম সমন্বয় অর্থে জনেরই শত কোটি জন করে কীর্তন শত কোটি জন করে কীর্তন চোখ ভরে দেখিলাম শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম জাহ্নবী
Why are you putting it there? Put it here.
জপ জপ রাম জাহ্নবী তীরে বসে তুমি দেখেছিলে রে আয়, আয়, সে বাসে সুরে সুরে আজও মাতিয়ে বেড়ায় বেড়ায় আমি দাস হই আমার রবিকে আমি দাস হই আমার রবিকে চরণ সপে দিলাম শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম 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 জয় রাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম জয় রাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম জয় রাম শ্রীরাম জয় রাম শ্রীরাম শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ প্রণাম. The meaning I was going to tell you, but I was too overwhelmed with seeing everybody, and today is obviously a very high charged day, so everybody will probably feel their energy raised. So what it is saying over here is Bahu Desh Khure, after going to many countries meaning symbolically, but going everywhere, Shesh Bala Sheshe Ami, at the end of the Bala, meaning end of the day, I have finally come to your feet, which means we've seen everything, been there, done that. At the end of the day, or you could even say end of our lives, is symbolically, we have finally found nothing to mean anything except you. And because of that, we have now given our lives, put our at your feet. We have we are falling at your feet at this point after having done everything, been there, not finding peace anywhere. And then Sri Ramakrishna Pranam. And then it says Jotomot Totopot. That is his famous line that he had said centuries ago, that we talk about in inclusivity of all religions. It's a modern day thought, but he had talked about that Jotomot, as many minds, those many paths. And you showed us the way. You also showed us Sharva Dharma Shamandoya. All the dharmas are the same. And how many hundreds of people have now finally found this path? Imagine saying this when 200 years ago or so, and 100, I'm losing count. But to say in those days, Jandobi Tire Boshe Tumi, sitting at the side of the Ganges, you did Japa of Rama, and you called everybody, come and say it with me. And even today, we are all mesmerized and we are all drawn to that. So that's what it truly meant. I mean, songs, when you have nothing left to say, the last thing you can say is sing it to God. So everything comes into a song. Though it's just a couple of sentences about his entire teaching, but it kind of, hits home. For some reason, it hits the heart chakra, it hits the mind, and even goes through our dull minds what he's trying to say. Just a couple of lines, Jotomot, Totopot. After we've gone everywhere, we've seen everything, nothing holds meaning anymore. So I'm so, so blessed to find Vedanta Center and find my family in the Vedanta Center. All of you, I cherish all of you. Let me tell you how much I miss going to Vedanta Center. Hopefully, I'll see you soon. Namaskar, Brother Shankara.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Dear Heart Krishna Kali, thank you for all that you do, for all that you are. I know that you have been a great teacher of music and exponent of music. As what Vivekananda said, music is the highest form of art, and for those who understand it, the highest form of worship. So Krishna Kali truly embodies that. And thank you, dear, for your song, for your explanation of the song, and for being who and what you are. So I'm just going to take a moment to offer this food to the Master. And as he is taking the food, we can take time for some questions, some comments from you, from your own wisdom or experience, anything you'd like to say. But just give me a moment to offer the food to the Master, and then we'll begin with some comments and questions. Jai Shri Ramakrishna, Jai Shri Ramakrishna, Jai Shri Ramakrishna. Master, this food was lovingly prepared with heartfelt devotion and is offered to you for your satisfaction and enjoyment. Please partake, please take this food with our adoration and our humble presence at your feet. Jai Shri Ramakrishna, Jai Shri Ramakrishna, Jai Shri Ramakrishna. So, who would like to say anything at all about what we're up to today? Any comment, any question, any comment, any observation at all?
Brother Shankara, I have a nice quote from Sri Ramakrishna, very small one.
Haha, please read it, dear.
I would like to read if no one else has anything right now. Here it is, since we all share the same moon, sun, and space, his quote really touched me. All religions are true, and God can be reached by different religions. Many rivers flow in many ways, but they fall into the sea. They all are one. That's all, Brother Shankara. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Haima. And this brings up an aspect of Sri Ramakrishna that really wasn't mentioned, his great harmonizing of the world's religions, not by thought, but by practice. He practiced many of the traditions of India, and then he also studied Christianity and Islam. And he said, just as Haima read. Haima, if you have it, read that again, please, now
Yes,
that we have that little bit of context.
Sure, Brother Shankara. All religions are true, and God can be reached by different religions. Many rivers flow in many ways, but they fall into the sea. They all are one.
And so this is Sri Ramakrishna's endorsement of the great religious traditions of the world. And of course, we find in the Gita, Sri Krishna saying the same thing in a different way and saying, whatever path you follow, if you followed with sincerity and devotion, with the sincere wish for the knowledge of God, I will get behind it and make it happen. So this is exactly, of course, Sri Ramakrishna is thought of as a reincarnation of Krishna. And so it's no wonder that he says the same thing, just in different words for a different time. Thank you, Haima. Anything else from anyone, please?
Namaste, Brother Shankar. Namaste, everybody.
Oh, this is our president, Shailesh Pawar. Yes, Shailesh.
I have a very small piece I read this morning, actually, from Gospel of Holy Mother. It's little, it caught my attention. It's a little different. It's just few lines. And this is by, it's the reminiscences of Swami Parameshwarananda of Holy Mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what the text is. After finishing her worship of Master, the mother was sitting quietly in the shrine when one of my fellow disciples suddenly asked, "Mother, how do you look upon the Master?" Mother remained silent for a while and then said solemnly, I look upon him as my child. So this was something, because she always looked upon Thakur as her husband and her deity and, someone who was taking care of all the spiritual children. But this is something that just was something different, where she says that Sri Ramakrishna was her child.
And dear, we can see why when we remember that just recently we read on a Tuesday evening in Swami Chaitananda's book on the life of Holy Mother, that she is indeed Jagadatri. She said herself, I am Jagadatri. Somebody has their microphone open, so we're getting a bit of feedback. Could you mute yourself unless you're going to speak? Please mute your microphone unless
It's
you're
done.
going to. Okay, very good. Thank you. Otherwise, we get that peculiar feedback. Thank you, Shailesh, for that beautiful observation. I look upon him as my child. That sheds a little light on something that Swami Chandrasekharananda said when he came visiting here once. Swami Chandrasekharananda is the Ramakrishna Order Swami in charge of the Portland Vedanta Society. And when he was visiting here, he was asked, Maharaj, tell us something about the relationship between the master, Sri Ramakrishna, and Vivekananda that isn't in the books, but is only in the oral tradition of the order. And he thought a moment, and then he said with this little smile, he said, Thakur remarked, I am related to him, meaning Vivekananda. I am related to him on my in-laws' side. So that is quite an interesting observation in light of what Shailesh just read, the mother looking upon Sri Ramakrishna as her child. And of course, Vivekananda was, by his own admission, her child and her creation. Anything else? Please let us. This is how we study the art of spirituality together, by sharing. So what would you like to say or ask that will be of joy to the rest of the congregation? Whatever it is, we'll take delight in it.
A comment and a question.
Yes, Brahmadas.
When Vivekananda said something like music is the highest expression of religion, could you repeat that, please?
No, he said music is the highest form of art, and for those who understand it, the highest form of worship.
The highest form of worship.
Let me
Okay.
repeat that just so that it gets clear. Music is the highest form of art, and for those who understand it, the highest form of worship. Now, there are those practicing today as musicians who do understand it. Let me give you an example. Gustavo Dudamel, who is the music director and conductor of the Los Angeles Philharmonic Orchestra, was asked in an interview, when you are conducting, how do you think about the music? How do you conduct? And you could tell this was not a ready answer. Dudamel paused a moment or two, and then he said, how to make every note sacred. How to make every note sacred. And if you wish to understand what he so deeply
That's
meant,
a beautiful way of thinking about it.
yes, if you want to understand what he so deeply meant, you can find online on YouTube him conducting Beethoven's Ninth with the Los Angeles Philharmonic. He's conducting it without a score. He has no score in front of him. He knows every note by heart. Or you can listen to him conducting Carl Orff's Carmina Burana with the youth orchestra that he started when he was 17 years old. And in his 30s, he was still conducting it. He was in his 30s when he did this. He still goes there and conducts. And he conducts Carl Orff's Carmina Burana. It is transcendent. So, with that, you said you had a question as well, Brahmadas.
Yeah, actually, I love Beethoven. What was the composer's name, or the conductor's name again?
Gustavo
Gustavo. I'm writing that down now.
Gustavo Dudamel. 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 Gustavo
Yeah,
Dudamel.
I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony is just one of his great works of art, and
Oh, yes.
I think he was actually deaf when he wrote that. He just composed it in his mind, which is quite amazing.
He was stone deaf when he conducted the premiere of the Ninth. Yes, stone deaf. He couldn't hear a thing. That's what I've read.
What a
So
great tragedy!
Did you have another question, Brahmadas?
Yeah. Well, this will actually lead into my next question, because I mean, it's such a great tragedy that such a great musical mind, who that's his whole life, would go deaf. And that's, like you had said earlier today, that the avatar takes on the suffering that was meant for the individual, which leads to the question, why do we have to suffer?
Because we
Why
want
did God
to.
give us this world? And I'm thinking maybe that's
because we
well,
want
I don't want
to.
to.
Yes, you do. You are the divine being. You are that. You are Saguna Atman. That said, I am one, I shall become many. With the full knowledge that with duality, the manyness, comes both the dark and the light. With the full knowledge that there would be both. This is told in the Genesis story in the New Testament, in the Old Testament. Now, God, being omniscient, knew perfectly well when he told Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that they would do it. And they did it. But at that point, they were still part of him. They had no sense of separateness. But then when they ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is what? Duality. Then the garden ended in the sense that it had existed, and they began to experience manyness. We are children of Adam and Eve. We are that divine being that decided to be many. So there's no blaming anyone else. And our sufferings, as Sri Sharda Devi said, as Holy Mother, the Master's wife, said, our sufferings are blessings, though they may be disguised from us as such. They're blessings because they cause us to think of how to escape from suffering. Does that get it, Brahmadas? Is that a good answer?
No, I would say that is true of our suffering. If we were just having fun and enjoying life, nobody would bother with all the spirituality, would they?
No, they would not. As it says in the Chandi, for those who think of God, she gives them a mind still further pious. For those who are happy in their thought of God, she gives them a mind still further pious. But piety is not a method of escape. Anything else from anyone? This is a birthday party.
I have something to share in the birthday party.
Please.
Brahmadas said that I love his name. Brother Shankar, you got to give me a name too. So, Brahma.
Don't you have a good enough name as Krishna Kali?
No, that life is over.
All right,
I'm
dear.
wearing Gerua kapda. It's looking
We'll
red,
talk
but it's
about
Gerua.
that. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that. But what I was saying was Brahmadas said that it is so amazing. I mean, very intriguing that Beethoven went deaf and he could still compose. So basically, the Stula Sharira and the Sukshma Sharira and the Karana Sharira we hear about, the gross, the subtle, and the causal. So basically, gross is just an extension of the subtle. And subtle is where everything happens, and the causal is where everything happens. So you can see, even without the outer organs, sensory organs, we can still do what we need to do because it's all in us, and the out expression, the gross part of it only is all the organs that are leading out. And all of that, even if you, like somebody said, your eyes could be fully working. If the organ inside isn't working, your eyes won't see. So just like your ear outside may not work, but if the inside hearing is working, it's all in your antakaran anyway. But what I truly wanted to talk about was, from childhood, there was a shloka that my mother would teach us, and I never thought of it beyond. I thought all of this was exaggeration, truly speaking. Growing up, I thought it was either mythical or exaggeration or, overly devout people trying to say this. But this was the shlok. Mukam karoti vachalang pangum langayate garim yat kripat tam aham vande Paramananda Madhava. Mukam karoti vachalang. The mouth will start talking. Pangum langayate garim. Somebody who's lame can cross mountains. Yat kripa, if we have your grace, yat kripa tam aham vande. I am asking for your grace. With your grace, Paramananda Madhavam. Param Anand, so you are, so basically any impossible can be possible with your grace. Now, I thought of this as completely a fiction of somebody's enthused devotion. Imagine my surprise. Imagine my surprise when I saw a picture on YouTube, was it, or some news? There was this Indian girl who was Pangum Langhayate Grim. Pangum, without legs, you can cross mountains. Now, this was a girl who had both her legs cut. She had stumps and she had artificial legs. She had gone to the top of the peak of Himalaya with artificial limbs. And she had planted, guess who, Ramakrishna's picture up there. And she said that this was Ramakrishna's grace. And I knew that I could, with his grace, do it. Imagine my shock. Literally, it was like a whole dimension shifted, that truly impossible can be made possible. But even better than that, it was Ramakrishna's picture that she put. Just the person I have pursued after going everywhere, like I said in the song, having been there, done that, came to Ramakrishna, and for her. And I was
Infinite.
Actually, it was Mount Everest she climbed.
okay,
Yes.
yes, Mount Everest, exactly. Thank you. So I mean, can you imagine if you can compose without ears and you can go to Everest without legs? What can I say? I mean,
Infinite
my whole-
strength art thou. Infinite strength art thou. Endow me with that strength. Infinite courage art thou. Fill me with that courage. Infinite compassion art thou. Endow me with that compassion.
That's the only problem. If we could truly believe it, we would be Ramakrishna ourselves. I mean, we would all be him. We are just so skeptical. Our minds are so dull, so skeptical, so cynical, so naysayers.
Vivekananda
Doomsday
says, just
predictors.
try it. Just try it and see what happens. Don't hang back. Just try it.
Tell us
and
what
see
to
what
do
happens.
to get our
And
dull minds to believe this.
Brahmananda, Raja Maharaj, the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna, said, "Here are my instructions. Follow them with faithfulness and diligence for 2 or 3 years. If you don't get the results, I promise, you may come back and slap me in the face." Now we know what that means to a Bengali. There's hardly any insult greater than to slap them in their face, unless you slap them in the face with your shoe. So this is...
You can slap me in the face with my shoe. Slap me. He doesn't
Well,
need to be, I need to be slapped 15 times.
No, you do not, dear. You only need to do your practices every day, just like all the rest of us. Then everything comes right. And we'll talk about that, dearest dear. You are far more than you know, and your humility is commendable. But perhaps there's more to it than that. Anyone else have anything at all they'd like to offer?
I could just say real quick, maybe.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, please.
Go ahead, Roberta.
Oh, thank you. Just real quick, going back to Beethoven and the tragedy of being deaf. The incredible thing was he was completely deaf, composing the Ninth Symphony and conducting it. But the Ninth Symphony is not about suffering; it's about joy.
Exactly.
To joy. So he appealed to a lot of the things that spirituality is appealing to, this infinite power, this infinite source of just
Yes.
joy and moving forward. And the only reason there is joy is because there is suffering. So he knew there was suffering.
Exactly, Roberto.
it's
The only
dedicated
reason
to
there
joy.
is joy is because there is suffering. How perfectly said. We wouldn't know the one without the other. Perfect. And if you wish to have a transcendent moment or more, listen to Gustavo Dudamel conducting the Ode to Joy. Oh my God. It'll, if it doesn't fill your heart, then you just need to sit back and try it again. Thank you, Roberto. Anything else?
Brother Shankara, I have an excellent quote which relates to our topic right now, what Krishna Kali was also discussing. It is from Yajnavalkya tells Maitreyi, that's his second wife. He said, one should indeed see, hear, understand, and meditate over the self, O Maitreyi. Indeed, he who has seen, heard, reflected, and understand the self, by him alone, the whole world come to be known.
Yes, which is exactly the same message that's at the end of the Chandogya Upanishad. It's in the Mandukya Upanishad. It's in the teachings of Christ. It's
all our readings.
Seek ye first the kingdom of God, which of course is the self,
It's within
and
you.
all else shall be added unto you.
I thought this would really fit to our discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Brother
Yajnavalkya.
Shankara,
For
say
those
that
of you
again.
who haven't read that discourse by Yajnavalkya in the Big Forest Upanishad, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it'll fill you with joy to read what he says. He talks. He gives this. Maitreya asks him, "What is it that you know that's so much more important than the wealth and family and so on?" And he tells her. Anything else, dears? All right. We'll finish with an arati, a short arati, which is the traditional way to close these worship ceremonies. So if you two would take away the food tray. You can just pick it up and take it with you. Om Hari Om. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise him, all creatures here below. Praise him above, ye heavenly host. Praise Ishwar Thakur Sarada. Jai Shri Ramakrishna. 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 Jai Ramakrishna. Jai Shri 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 Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Ma Mahamai Ki Jai. Jai Swamiji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Raja Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavata Bhakta Bhagavan Ki Jai. Shri Ramakrishna. Jai Shri Ramakrishna. Jai Shri Ramakrishna. Let there be peace in outer space.
Let there be peace in outer space.
Let there be peace in the sky, on the earth, and in the waters.
Let there be peace in the sky, on the earth, and in the waters.
Let there be peace in the herbs, the plants, and the trees.
Let there be peace in the herbs, the plants, and the trees.
May the gods be peaceful.
May the gods be peaceful.
May the whole universe be pervaded by peace.
May the whole universe be pervaded by peace.
Let this infinite universal peace prevail throughout my being. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. Swami Prabhavananda was asked, why the clapping, Maharaj? He said, to get her attention, of course. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. May we go forward in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Mother and Father. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Ramakrishna Jai Ma. Jai Shri Ramakrishna Jai Ma. Jai Shri Ramakrishna Jai Ma. Any final thought or word from anyone? All right, my dears. I wish you could all be here with us to share the prasad, the Master's prasad. Just fix some food, offer it to the Master, and then, of course, it will be his prasad. And we're hoping that we will be able to open the center for face-to-face meetings and gatherings and loving interaction among the congregation in May. That is our wish. For those of you who haven't already heard, and an announcement will be sent out about this in the newsletter soon, but Swami Sarvadevananda called the other day, Swami Sarvadevananda, the head minister of this place, I'm the resident minister, serving as the resident minister for him. He's the head minister, and he will be here May 17th, 18th, and 19th. And if any of you would like to have further spiritual instruction from the Swami, please do give me a call or send an email. If you don't have my cell phone number, please do send me an email, because I don't often get to the center's phone, but I almost always have my cell phone near me. So send me an email. I'll send you my cell phone number if you don't have it. And we can talk about this, and I'll put you in contact with Swami Sarvadevananda so that he can have a conversation with you about what it is that you wish. And then on the 17th, he'll have interviews with everyone. And on May 18th, he will offer Diksha, spiritual initiation, to anyone who wishes it. Then on the 19th, he's going to stay, because I'm happy to report that this is the year in which I will celebrate my birthday of 1,000 moons, my 80th birthday. And so that's going to take place on May 19th. And the Swami said, oh, he was very happy about that, and said he would schedule his flight to Chicago from here late enough in the day that he could stay for the birthday celebration. You may wish to know that the Swami himself will celebrate his birthday of 1,000 moons in October. So
How many years will that be for him?
80 years. That's the birthday of 1,000 moons is 80 years. That's why I said, this is my birthday of 1,000 moons, my 80th birthday.
Yes, but
I'm
even
in my.
Sarvadevananda's.
Say it again. I'm just a few months older than Swami Sarvadevananda. Yes.
Oh, I see.
Yes. His birthday for his 80th birthday is in October. I don't remember the day. He'll tell us when he's here if we ask him. Because this is the 80th birthday, or the birthday of 1,000 moons, is the only birthday that a monk is supposed to legitimately celebrate. If others take the initiative, it's okay to celebrate the others, but you can put both feet in the ring on your 80th birthday. So, Jai Sri Ramakrishna Jai Ma. Any final thought from anyone?
Thank you for this wonderful congregation, Brother Shankara, today. The puja and everything was great.
It certainly was lovely, wasn't it? And
Yes, it was.
it was sweet to do this informal worship, but we can always be hopeful for and thankful of Aditya Chaturvedi's tantric pujas that are so deeply felt. You can tell he is a real, genuine pujari. It's not just a priestly duty for him. It's deeply moving to him to do puja. He's explained to me why. And so he's in India now, so he wasn't able to do this. As a matter of fact, he was just, or may still be, in Lucknow, which is a place very dear to him. So, any final thought from anyone before we close?
I'm not sure if I'll be there for the birthday, but Brother Shankara Thakur is making sure that you have many more birthdays because you have a lot of work left unfinished with us.
Well, Jai Ma, Mother's sweet will be done.
Very true, Brother Shankara.
What I pray to her is, Ma, I have great enthusiasm for this work. I love doing it. I love the congregation. Just make it tolerable. Just make it physically tolerable. And so far, things have been going well in that direction. So you can pray that for me if you wish to offer a prayer. Just offer a prayer that this be physically tolerable. As the great actress Betty Davis once remarked when asked the question by Johnny Carson, "Betty, how is it you are working still, you're 83 years old, what's it like to be old?" And she said very, very seriously and in a very heartfelt way, but with a wry smile, "Johnny, it's not for sissies." And in fact, it is not. So, but, you know, it's, we're pilgrims together on the path. Fellow adventurers. And it'll be wonderful when we can all gather together here in the fellowship hall after a puja and share the prasad and the wonderful companionship of one another. Sisters and brothers of America. All right, dears? All right. Until next time, Jai Sri Ramakrishna Jai Ma.
Bye bye.
Thank you, brother. Jai Ma.
Thank you. Thank you.